the global influencer, Brian Chesky, the designer CEO. How Brian Chesky used storytelling to build Airbnb. Welcome back to the English Oasis. We have studied the logic of Musk, the empathy of Nadella, and the crisis command of Ardern. But today, we look at a leader who didn't come from a background in business or politics. He came from a background in design. When Brian Chesky started Airbnb, everyone told him it was the worst idea in history. Strangers will never trust each other, they said. People want hotels. They want consistency. But Chesky realized that the world didn't have a housing problem. It had a belonging problem. Today, we explore how Chesky used the language of storytelling to disrupt a trillion-dollar industry. We'll learn how he redefined trust not as a legal contract, but as a shared human narrative. Get ready to learn how to use English to build a world where anyone can belong anywhere. In 2008, Brian Chesky and his co-founders were broke. They were literally selling Obama O's cereal boxes just to pay their rent. Their startup, Airbnb, was failing because no one wanted to stay in a stranger's apartment. The traditional English of the travel industry was all about utility and standards. Book a room, check in at 3 p.m., standardized amenities. Chesky, a graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design, realized he needed to change the metaphor of travel. He stopped using the language of hotels and started using the language of hospitality in its most ancient sense. He didn't want to build a booking website. He wanted to build a belonging platform. He famously said, "We used to live in a world where you knew everyone in your village. Then we moved to cities and became strangers." Airbnb is about using technology to bring us back to the village. This was narrative reframing. By calling Airbnb a global village, he turned a scary idea, sleeping in a stranger's bed, into a nostalgic, beautiful idea, returning to human connection. He realized that trust is built through shared vulnerability. He encouraged hosts to tell their stories, to show their favorite local coffee shops, and to describe their homes not as units, but as sanctuaries. He used the English of experience rather than the English of transaction. He didn't sell accommodations. He sold the feeling of being home even when you are thousands of miles away. This linguistic shift turned Airbnb from a struggling website into a global movement that challenged the biggest hotel chains in the world. Chesky's design-led English is built on anthropological resonance. The belonging anchor. Chesky uses the word belong as a primary verb. In English, to belong is a deep, emotional state. It's much more powerful than to stay or to visit. By centering his brand around this word, he created an emotional North Star for both employees and customers. The host-guest dynamic. Most travel sites use buyer, seller, or user-provider language. Chesky insisted on host and guest. These are ancient, sacred terms in English. A provider gives you a service. A host gives you their heart. This choice of nouns changed the behavior of millions of people. High definition sensory language. When Chesky describes Airbnb, he uses words like warmth, soul, character, and texture. He avoids cold, corporate words like scalability or optimization in his public storytelling. He uses English to paint a picture of a world that feels small and human again. If you are starting a project or selling an idea, stop talking about the product. Start talking about the experience. The rule: use warm nouns and emotional verbs. The phrase: instead of "I am developing a new app for food delivery," try "I am building a way for busy families to share a delicious, home-cooked meal without the stress of cooking." Duration. This section dives into the philosophy of design, which adds significant depth and storytelling time to the video. Key vocabulary: narrative reframing, anthropological, sanctuary, sacred, transactional, shadowing potential. The Back to the Village quote is perfect for practicing inspirational cadence, using pauses to let big ideas sink in. In the early days of Airbnb, Brian Chesky felt the company was getting comfortable. They were providing a 5-star service. Clean sheets, a key in the lock, a decent room. In the hotel world, 5 stars is the ceiling. It is the peak of success. But Chesky, thinking like a designer, realized that 5 stars is just the expected standard. To disrupt a trillion-dollar industry, you don't need to be standard. You need to be unforgettable. He gathered his team and introduced a linguistic exercise that has since become legendary in Silicon Valley: the 1-1-star experience. He asked them, what would a 1-star, 3-star, and 5-star stay look like? They answered easily. A 1-star is a dirty room. A 5-star is a great hotel experience. But then he pushed the English of possibility into the extreme. He asked, what would a 10-star check-in look like? Someone joked, Elon Musk picks you up in a Tesla and takes you to a rocket ship. Chesky didn't laugh. He said, okay, what's an 1-1-star check-in? The 1-1-star experience is when you arrive and the host is there with a parade. They've already organized a dinner with your favorite childhood hero, and they give you a key to the city. By using hyperbolic English, intentional exaggeration, Chesky forced his team to stop thinking about websites and start thinking about magic. He realized that while you can't give every guest a parade, the 1-1-star, you can find the sweet spot between 5 and 11. Maybe it's a handwritten note or a fridge stocked with their favorite local craft beer. By linguistically defining the impossible, he made the incredible feel achievable. He moved the company from the language of operations to the language of enchantment. Chesky's 1-1-star English is a masterclass in expansive thinking. The power of what if. This is a hypothetical opener. It removes the fear of failure and the constraint of budget. By using what if, he invites his team to play with the English of imagination before returning to the English of execution. Superlative scaling. He intentionally uses superlatives, the best, the most, the greatest, to stretch the brain. In business English, we are taught to be realistic. Chesky teaches us to be unrealistic first, to find the innovation hidden in the extremes. The magic metric. Instead of using KPIs, key performance indicators, or metrics, Chesky often uses the word magic moment. This shifts the team's focus from quantity, how many users, to quality, how many moments of pure joy. In your career, don't get stuck in the standard. Use the 1-1 star question to spark innovation in your English. The rule: when solving a problem, describe the perfect, impossible solution first. The phrase: instead of "how can we make this report better?" try "if we had a magic wand and could make this the most incredible report our boss has ever seen in their life, what would be in it?" Duration. This 1-1 star narrative is a fan favorite in business storytelling. It allows for a lot of descriptive, high-energy English that fills the time effectively. Key vocabulary: hyperbolic, superlative, constraint, execution, enchantment, shadowing potential. Practicing the 1-0 star and 1-1 star descriptions is excellent for learning how to use descriptive adjectives with excitement and flair. In March 2020, the world didn't just slow down. For Airbnb, it stopped. In a matter of 8 weeks, Brian Chesky watched 80% of his business vanish. Imagine building a global village for 12 years, only to have the borders of every country on Earth slam shut at the same time. Investors were calling. The media was writing "the end of Airbnb" headlines. Chesky was faced with the most painful decision of his life. He had to let go of 25% of his workforce, 1,900 people who had built the dream with him. In a traditional corporate world, a layoff email is written by lawyers. It is cold, passive, and full of legal English to protect the company. Due to unforeseen economic headwinds, we are reducing our headcount. But Chesky, the designer, refused to use lawyer English. He spent days writing a letter that became a viral masterpiece of radical honesty and dignity. He didn't hide behind the board or the economy. He used the first person I. "I am truly sorry. Please know this is not your fault. We are run by a mission of belonging, and it is heartbreaking to have to say goodbye to the people who embody that mission." He didn't just fire them. He designed their exit. He allowed them to keep their laptops, provided months of health care, and, most brilliantly, created a public talent directory to help them find new jobs. He used the English of validation. By admitting his own pain and taking full responsibility, he preserved the soul of the company even while the body was bleeding. This linguistic transparency is why, when travel returned, Airbnb didn't just recover, it thrived. Chesky's Crisis English is a masterclass in high-stakes vulnerability, the ownership shift. Most CEOs say the company is making reductions. Chesky said, "I have decided to." By using active verbs and personal pronouns, he removed the corporate mask. In English, taking ownership is the fastest way to gain respect, especially when the news is bad. The why before the what. Before he told them they were losing their jobs, he spent 500 words explaining the logic of the decision. He walked them through the company's finances. He used transparent English to ensure that even though people were hurt, they weren't confused. Confusion is the enemy of trust. Humanizing the departed. He avoided terms like separated employees or downsized staff. He called them our teammates, our friends, and talented individuals. This is dignity first linguistics. He treated the ex-employees as his best brand ambassadors. The true test of your English and your leadership isn't when things are going well. It's when you have to deliver bad news. The rule: never use corporate passive to hide your responsibility. Use the first person, the phrase. Instead of, "It has been decided that your proposal will not be moving forward," try, "I've spent a lot of time with your proposal, and I've decided not to move forward with it for now. Here is exactly why." To fill the time, this segment should include a contrast analysis. Compare Chesky's letter to the infamous better. Zoom layoff where 900 people were fired via a cold 3-minute video call. The contrast: one used English as a weapon, cold, efficient, detached. The other used English as a bridge, warm, transparent, accountable. The result: Airbnb's stock and employee morale surged after the crisis. Better. Faced a PR disaster and a mass exodus of talent. Context. This part is heavy and emotional, providing a necessary balance to the magical part 2. Key vocabulary: headwinds, unforeseen, radical honesty, embodiment, ambassador, exodus, shadowing potential. The opening paragraph of Chesky's layoff letter is a perfect exercise for practicing sincere, serious tonal control. Most tech CEOs stand on stage and show slides full of bullet points, bar graphs, and technical specification. They speak the language of features. Brian Chesky stands on stage and speaks the language of feeling. As a designer, Chesky knows that the human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. In his famous product launches, he doesn't just announce a new feature, he paints a scene. He uses sensory-rich English to transport his audience into a specific moment in time. When he launched Airbnb experiences, he didn't say, "We are offering guided tours." He said, "Imagine you're in Tokyo. You don't want to just see the city. You want to go to a hidden ramen shop with a local chef who has been cooking for 40 years. You want to feel the steam on your face and hear the stories behind the ingredients. This is high-definition linguistics. By using words like steam, hidden, and 40 years, he triggers the mirror neurons in the listener's brain. You aren't just hearing a business update. You are living the experience. He uses the English of observation to create desire. Furthermore, Chesky is the master of the contrast frame. He always starts by describing the old, broken world, the standard hotel experience, using grey, cold, and generic adjectives. Then he reveals the new Airbnb world using vibrant, authentic, and soulful language. He uses English to create a visual before and after in the minds of his investors. Chesky's visual English is built on specific immersion, the imagine trigger. This is a powerful imperative command. When you say imagine, you stop being a speaker and you become a director. You force the audience to build a movie in their own heads. Concrete nouns over abstract concepts. Chesky avoids generic nouns. He doesn't say good food. He says truffle pasta in a Roman basement. He doesn't say great view. He says watching the sunset over the Amalfi Coast from a private balcony. Specificity is the soul of trust. The rule of 3, sensory. To make a scene feel real, he often gives 3 sensory details: what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. This creates a 3D effect in his storytelling that makes his vision feel more real than his competitor's spreadsheet. In your next presentation or interview, stop using empty adjectives like good, great, interesting, or professional. They are invisible to the brain. The rule: use vivid specifics. The phrase: instead of "I have a lot of experience in project management," try "I have spent 5 years navigating high-pressure deadlines, managing teams of 20 people, and ensuring that every single detail of a $1 million budget was accounted for." To fill the time, we will look at the storyboarding method. Chesky actually hired a Pixar animator to storyboard the Airbnb journey. The linguistic move: he translated those drawings into a script for the company. He taught his engineers to speak in scenes. Exercise: think of your career as a Pixar movie. What is the inciting incident? What is the climax? How do you describe your transformation using active, visual verbs? Context: this section is highly practical for learners who want to improve their presentation English. It explains the why behind the what. Key vocabulary: mirror neurons, keynote, sensory rich, superlative, specification, skepticism, shadowing potential. The Imagine You're in Tokyo segment is perfect for practicing pacing and imagery, learning where to pause to let the listener's mental movie play. Most companies, as they grow large, develop a corporate accent. They start using safe, bureaucratic English like we are evaluating our strategic options, or we are optimizing our core competencies. Brian Chesky hates this. He believes that the moment a company starts talking like a big corporation, it starts to die. Chesky practices what Jeff Bezos calls day one thinking, but he expresses it through beginner's mind, linguistic. Even though he is one of the most successful CEOs in the world, he frequently uses the phrase, "I'm just a designer trying to figure this out." What if we started over from scratch? This is a power move of humility. By framing himself as a student rather than a master, he gives his team permission to challenge the status quo. In the recent AI revolution, Chesky didn't talk about integrating AI into our existing stack. He talked about re-founding the company. He used the English of erasure, asking, if we started Airbnb today, in the age of AI, what would it look like? He uses radical curiosity to prevent legacy thinking. He treats the English language as a sketchbook where no idea is too crazy to draw. By staying an eternal founder, he ensures that Airbnb never becomes a hotel company, but remains a belonging company. Chesky's founder English is built on dynamic agility, the start from scratch frame. He uses this phrase to delete the past. It's a linguistic reset button. It allows the team to stop defending old mistakes and start building new solutions. Anti-bureaucratic directness. He bans management speak. If an executive uses too much jargon, Chesky asks them to explain it like we're back in my apartment in 2008. He uses nostalgic anchoring to keep the company's culture humble and focused. The vocabulary of will. He uses the future tense with absolute certainty. We will, we are going to, the world will be. He uses English to manifest a reality before it exists. This is the language of a visionary architect. No matter how high you climb in your career, never lose your beginner's English. The rule: don't be afraid to ask dumb questions. They are often the most profound. The phrase, instead of "I have a concern about the current methodology," try, if we were starting this project today with zero history, is this really the best way we would choose to do it? Brian Chesky's story is a reminder that the world isn't just made of products or services. It is made of stories. He didn't just build a website to rent rooms. He redesigned the way humans trust one another. By using warm nouns, visual verbs, and the courage of radical honesty, he turned a simple air mattress in a living room into a global movement of belonging. As you go back to your own career and your own English journey, ask yourself, are you just providing a service? Or are you designing an experience? Don't be afraid to use the English of imagination. Don't be afraid to ask for the 1-1 star version of your life. Because in a world of cold, corporate standards, the most valuable thing you can offer is a story where people truly feel at home. The 1-1 star challenge. I want to hear from you. If you were the designer of your own English learning journey, what would the 1-1 star version look like? Would you be giving a keynote in London? Leading a global team from a beach in Bali? Describe your magic moment in the comments. Let's make the impossible feel real together. Join the village? If you learned something new about the language of belonging today, hit that like button and subscribe. Every person who joins the English Oasis makes our global village a little bit bigger and a lot more inspired. Share the magic. Know a designer, a dreamer, or a frustrated entrepreneur? Share this video with them. Let's help everyone move from standard to unforgettable. Don't just speak English. Design a life that people want to belong to. Stay global, stay curious, and keep designing. We'll see you in the next story.